Join me as I read today's poem. Remember, poetry is meant to be read aloud, so as I read, go ahead and read aloud with me. Starting with the title, Who Has Seen the Wind? By Christina Rossetti. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the leaves bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. Nice work reading the poem along with me. Let's take a look at today's poem, Who Has Seen the Wind by Christina Rossetti, and this time we're going to take a look for poetic devices. The first one that we're going to be looking for is rhyme scheme. Remember that rhyme scheme is the pattern of rhyming words, and usually those rhyming words are found at the ends of the lines of poetry. And we're looking for examples of rhyming words that make a pattern in the poem. Let's take a look at this particular poem and write out its rhyme scheme. So we'll start with the first line here. Who has seen the wind? I'm going to focus on the last word in each line of poetry. In the first stanza, and the first word is wind. I'm going to start with the capital letter A. I'm looking for a pattern here. Now I'm going to look at the second line. You, wind. Does that rhyme? Nope, I don't hear a rhyme, so I'm going to give that a capital B. Going down to the third line here. Trembling, you, wind. Rhyme? I still don't hear any rhyme yet, so I'm going to give that a C. How about through, trembling, you, wind? Did you hear a word that rhymed with through? That's right, it rhymed with you. So I'm going to give that a B. So it looks like my second line is rhyming with my fourth line. At this time, go ahead and pause the video, and you go ahead and figure out the rhyme scheme for the second stanza. So at this time, go ahead and pause your video, and then come back whenever you are done and check your answers with what I'm going to do. Welcome back. Let's check what you did for your second stanza. So again, I'm starting with capital A. I and wind does not rhyme, so I'm going to give that a B. Heads, I, wind. That gets a C. By, heads, I, wind. I and by rhyme, so I'm going to give that a B. So it looks like Christina Rossetti's rhyme scheme. The second line rhymes with the fourth line. The second line rhymes with the fourth line in both stanzas. This is also a very common form of a pattern of rhyming words or rhyme scheme. Last time we discussed alliteration. An alliteration meaning there is the repeating of beginning sounds, beginning consonant sounds. Look through this poem and see if you see any examples of alliteration. So let's see if we're looking for similar consonant sounds at the beginning of words. Who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you. But when the leaves hang trembling, the wind is passing through. Did you see any alliteration in that first stanza? No, I didn't either. Look down the second stanza. Who has seen the wind? Neither you nor I. But when the leaves bow down their heads, the wind is passing by. In this case, in this poem, there's not an example of alliteration, but this time we're going to be focusing on a different poetic device. And this time we're going to be focusing on repetition. In repetition, what happens is the poet will repeat himself or herself. Either a word or an entire phrase will be repeated throughout the poem. Now you might be asking yourself, why would a poet repeat himself or herself throughout the entire poem? And the simple answer is they want to get a particular idea, or they want to get a point of view, or they want to give a big idea or the theme across in their poem. So let's take a look at this example, Who Has Seen the Wind? So we start and we're looking for repetition. And to remember what repetition means, it starts off very similar to the word repeat. Repeat, repetition. So let's look at our poem here. Who has seen the wind? Is that phrase repeated? Yes, it is. It's here in the first stanza. It's here in the second stanza. I'm going to underline that to indicate some repetition. Okay, so here's an example of repetition. Who has seen the wind? Who has seen the wind? The next line, neither I nor you. Let's look down here to the second stanza, neither you nor I. Okay, we've got some more repetition, don't we? I'm going to underline the word neither. She uses the same words, I, nor, and you nor I. Those words are repeated, but in a different order. So we can still count that as repetition. It's not repeated in the same order. They're repeated in a different order, but she's still using the same words. But when the leaves hang trembling, well, let's look down here with my second stanza. But when the leaves bow down, oh, look what else she decided to repeat. But when the leaves, There's a lot of repetition in this poem. The wind is passing through. The wind is passing by. Okay, let's go ahead and underline the repetition. The wind is passing. The wind is passing. She repeats quite a number of words and phrases in this particular poem because she's trying to get the idea across about the wind. So who has seen the wind? Neither I nor you, but when the leaves and the wind is passing. So again, she's trying to get an idea across, and she's using a lot of repetition in this poem. I hope that you enjoy this poem, and I highly encourage you to keep reading poetry and see what you can find. Happy reading.